This is a code walkthrough for the example file SelectionSwitchNumbers.java. This file demonstrates a couple aspects of using a switch statement in code. So let's kind of walk our way through this before we run through it with a debugger a few times. So as always, we're reading an input number from the user using our new utils file, and then we're performing a switch on the resulting number for a couple different purposes. In this first switch, this is kind of a nominal setup of a switch statement. We have some integer value that we're switching on. These are the possible values that we recognize, cases 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then depending on what the value is, we're simply going to set up a different message with a textual representation of the number, and presumably we're going to print it out. Let's go down here a little bit more. Yes, we're printing it out, okay? And notice that in each case, there's a break statement after the actions of that case, and if it's not numbers 1 to 4, we're going to fall through to this default case and print some question marks. Okay? So this is a pretty nominal usage of a switch. In the second example, we're going to demonstrate what's known as fall through. So here, we're switching on the same number that presumably is 1 to 4, and we want to print out whether that number 1 to 4 is even or odd. Well, for cases 1 to 3, we're going to be taking the same actions in either case. So you can imagine there being these equivalent statements for case 1, but we're just going to combine case 1 statements and case 3 statements into this one common set of instructions. So rather than duplicating code, we're going to effectively remove the break and stack together the 1 and the 3, which is what we sometimes refer to as fall through. So if the number is odd, a 1 or a 3, we're printing out an odd message. If it's even, a 2 or a 4, we're printing out an even message. And in this case, we can't have anything other than an even or an odd, so we're not going to bother to do anything. I guess we might hit this with a 0, but we're not going to worry about that apparently. In this third example, we're demonstrating the use of an expression in the case check. So notice that this value is going to evaluate to an integer. When we switch on anything, we have to switch on some type of constant value, be it a numerical value, a char, or a string. This num modulus 2 clearly fits the bill. This is going to evaluate to either a 1 or a 0, depending on whether something is even or odd. So we can switch on an expression as long as it evaluates to one of those various forms, and then we'll print out a message. So a couple different ways of using the switch statement. So now that we've seen this, let's go ahead and compile this as always, and we'll set a breakpoint on main, and let's single step through this. So let's put in, step past that, let's put in the number 1. Okay? So we're going to go through these 3 switches with the number 1. So we're going to switch on a 1. Notice that we jump right to the 1 here. The message is 1. We're done. There's a break statement. And we're going to print out the message. In the second switch, we're going to switch on 1. And notice that we've hit this common print statement for odd numbers. So we'll do that, and we'll break, and we're done. And now we're going to evaluate 1 mod 2, which is of course going to be 1. So notice that we're going to leap down to the case 1, set the message to odd, and then print out the number in the message. And we'll complete the execution there. So let's go through this again with a different number. Let's say we're going to run this time for a value of 4. Okay, so we've read in a 4. So we're doing a switch on 4. And notice again, the nice thing about a switch is we don't have to go through all these cases. We can leap right to the applicable case, set the message, jump out of the switch, and we're done. And we'll print the message. Same thing here in this second switch. We'll switch on the value 4. We're going to leap down to here, set the printed message to even, and print it out. And in the third switch, 4 mod 2 is obviously a 0. So we're going to hit that first case, break, print the message, and we're done. We'll finish executing this. Let's do this one more time for some weirdo value. How about 683? How about that? Okay, we've read in a 683. We're going to switch on 683. Doesn't fit the bill in any of these, but again, the nice thing about a switch is we don't need to check every single value to know that. We can simply leap down to the default right away and print out the "I don't know what to do" message. In this next switch, same thing. There's no default, so we're not going to do anything this time. Maybe we should have. And in this case, 683 mod 2 is going to be 1 because it's an odd number. So we can leap right to the 1, print it out, and we're done. So 3 different examples of using switch with a couple different wrinkles. And again, this is sometimes referred to as fall through, where we're combining common actions into one set of statements.